All right, the time is 7 PM and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that we have a quorum present and legal notice has been posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551. And we're here to conduct business of the city. Before we get busy with this, reason why I am wearing a Midlothian hat is I had a friendly wager between the mayor of Midlothian, who represents Midlothian ISD, and I represent Red Oak ISD, and we had a football wager. And unfortunately, the Hawks were on the short end of that game, but I am doing my due diligence. And I want all my Midlothian buddies to watch this whole meeting, because this is how you run a meeting. You have fun and, but no, in all honesty, Justin Kaufman is a wonderful friend. And we have these great little wagers that we work between each other. Red Oak won last year, Midlothian won this year, and we'll look forward to seeing them in the playoffs. We might kind of come back across and or next year. So we'll do it as long as we can do that. And as long as our legal department doesn't say you need to stop that. So, but thank you for indulging to be able to explain that to you. But I'm actually proud to be able to have that friendly competition between each other and am okay to wear this Midlothian hat. So thank you. Let's see, I think I declared a quorum and we're here to do business for the city of Red Oak. So if you would, join me in the invocation and the pledges. Heavenly Father, thank you for the ability to live in a free country and put our differences aside and work together for the better of all people in this here nation. Whether it be nationwide, statewide, citywide. Please be with us as we make decisions, not on our own behalf, but on betterment for the people that live in this city. Heavenly Father, please bless our first responders, our military, police and fire, our city workers, staff, and council members. Sometimes we ask things of you, but we don't take the time to listen. Sometimes we need to slow down in our own lives and just listen to what you have for us. Give us the strength. Forgive us where we fail you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Now's the time for presentations, and we have several. And I'd like to invite Chief Wolf up to take care of the presentations that you had. Appreciate seeing citizens and employees around to be able to witness this.
Mayor, council, come before you tonight to make three presentations, two promotional presentations and one new hire presentation. Recently, we conducted internal exams for two vacant sergeant's positions. That's a process that's lengthy. It requires an in-depth study of instructional material, policy, several leadership books on leadership theory. There's a couple of projects that are involved in that, crisis intervention type events. Can be anything from a plane crash to a train derailment. The one they did this time was a train derailment here in town. They have to work up a whole response protocol, as if they were the on-scene supervisor and submit that for review. And tonight I have, our two newest sergeants. First one I'll present to you tonight is James T. Grimes. He's a member, or was a member of the United States Army for 22 years. He's retired with several combat tours in Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He's a recipient of his combat infantry badge and a Bronze Star. He did 13 and a half years in Lancaster, 6 of those as a sergeant. He's been with the Red Oak Police Department for approximately 18 months. He's currently engaged and has 2 children. He's also the recipient of the Texas State Award for Valor, which is called the Texas State Gold Star. He's also the recipient of that for time and actions while he was with the Lancaster Police Department. We're very pleased in his performance on the exam, and he's our newly promoted sergeant. The next promotional presentation I'd like to provide is for Sergeant Ryan Gunning. Ryan was hired with the Red Oak Police Department in March of 2018. He promoted to officer in charge and field training officer in December of 2019. He's one of our department armorers for our weapons. He's also a force options instructor. He's currently the newly appointed supervisor of our drone unit. And he recently achieved his Part 107 pilot's license to be able to facilitate the use of those drones within the city. We're very pleased to have him as one of our newest promotions. And I'd like to invite his family up so they could pin him with his badge. So Lacey Gunning is Ryan's lovely bride. He's also a father to Paige, who's 19, Hunter 17, Christopher 8, Logan 12. He enjoys hockey, scuba diving, and golf. So she's gonna want to get a picture of this, so let her direct you.
Jam it in.
Still got a smile.
I love that. We'll get really slow. And then, yeah, perfect.
Again, so congratulations to both of our new promotions. That's not something that's given away. It's something you have to work very diligently for. You have to commit a great deal of time and effort into achieving success on that examination. And again, both of them performed very well. The difference between first, second, and third was tenths of a point. The last presentation that I'd like to present tonight is one of our new hires, Officer Larry Wise. Larry comes to us from the city of Cedar Hill. He's a master peace officer with over 25 years of experience, 20 of those as a supervisor. Anecdotally, his first FTO in his career is the guy who's presenting him tonight. I trained him as a rookie. So I know exactly what we're getting and what we're not getting. He's a fantastic officer. He's going to do us a really good job. He retired from Cedar Hill. He's a TCOL instructor with multiple certifications. He's a proud father of 3 sons, ages 22, 16, and 7. His hobbies include spending time with family, kids, weight training, racing motorcycles, and watching college football. Officer Larry Wise.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely.
One other little aside that I should have said was, yesterday was Veterans Day and to all our veterans, I would just want to say thank you for your service. So thank you very much. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'd like to reintroduce you to Danny Weimer, if you don't know him already. Danny's been serving as our park supervisor since early 2020. He's recently been promoted to our park superintendent. Danny is a lot to a lot of people in the city, including me. His wife Marty and his two kids are here tonight. And I'd like to thank them for giving him up all these days and all these hours and weekends and nights and everything when we have things going on, that he's coming up here and helping us. But Danny has done a stellar job for us the entire time he's been here. Not only does he mean a lot to our department, but he does a lot for other people within the city. He's a true team member to the city. So somebody needs something, they need advice, they need something that he has knowledge of, which he's very knowledgeable of a lot of things. He's the first one that they'll call. So I'm really grateful that he's here and proud of him for working his way up to superintendent. So he's my right-hand guy, and thank you for all that you do and congratulations. Then I'm going to yield the mic over to him for his first duty tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to introduce Tim Graves. Tim Graves has been with us for 2.5 years as our, just as a groundskeeper. He stepped up and showed his willingness to learn, and we promoted him to night and evening crew leader. Tim Graves.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Ms. Tierney. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Director Tierney, and I'd like to present to you a promotional presentation. This is Tori Strand. She has been promoted. She's been with the city for a little over a year. And she previously served as our budget analyst and has been, she also filled in as our interim assistant finance director and has been promoted to permanent assistant finance director. Even in the short time that I've been here, she's clearly displayed a penchant for advanced accounting and governmental accounting fundamentals. She's been sort of my right hand as I've navigated my way through learning Red Oak. And she's displayed a dedication to ensuring the team's success. And I look forward to watching her grow.
Tierney, don't go very far yet. Data for fraud awareness. So. I didn't even know there was a fraud awareness week. So I'm going to kind of educate you on this. November 17th through the 23rd is International Fraud Awareness Week. The Certified Fraud Examiners is an organization dedicated to the mission of reducing the incidence of fraud worldwide. Estimates that the typical organization loses 5% of its revenue each year to fraud. A lot of the fraud cases are from tips, so we always ask that people watch and share if you think that something's not quite right, so that it can be turned in. The local government undermine the good work and reputation of all municipal employees who complete their assigned duties with integrity, honesty, decreased confidence in public officials, and fraud against the city of Red Oak is potentially a burden borne by its citizens and businesses in the form of increased costs. So we want to take that seriously. If you think that's something going on, it's going to be investigated, prosecuted, and incarceration for individuals who commit fraud. I and the city council, as mayor of the city of Red Oak, do hereby proclaim the week of November 17th through the 23rd as International Fraud Awareness Week. And we ask that everybody does their part to decrease problems within the city and or in your own small business. So thank you very much. Let's speak about this.
As part of the finance team and a finance professional, we have an increased responsibility to ensure that the city and everybody who works for the city handles is fiscally responsible and ensures that there isn't a way for anyone to commit fraud against the city or within the city. And so part of this International Fraud Awareness Week is educating the finance team on possible fraud detection and prevention techniques. So that way, education is the best way to ensure that things are caught early, just in case there are any attempts inside or outside the city to commit fraud. So this week, the Fraud Week will be dedicated to training the finance staff.
Thank y'all for coming,
Yes.
family too. As they slip out, I'll kind of give you a briefing. We are not able to do item 1, so we will go on to citizens' comments. Citizens' comments are addressed to the council here. And if it's not something on the agenda, we can't make any comment about it. But we can direct staff if deemed necessary to look into it and to reach back out to you. We ask that your comments are limited to no longer than 3 minutes. And so there'll be a timer on the screen. So if you go longer, I'll do my best to be polite, but I will interrupt you and ask you to cease that. I'll do it as the order that it was turned in. And Ms. Thomas, come on down. If you'll speak to the mic, into the mic, state your name and your address and what you want to address this about. And if you'll adjust that so it kind of fits right towards you. It's directional, but
Gotta be closer.
yeah, right there.
My voice kind of carried. Can you hear me? Okay.
So we want to make sure everybody online hears you too.
My name's Camille Thomas. I stay at 208 Cool Meadows Lane, right here in Red Oak, Texas. To the mayor and to the council, I'm seeking a solution. I live next to a renter who is from downstairs. We're having issues with parking. She parks her cars in front of my home when she has room in front of her home. I had a whole speech, but 3 minutes wasn't gonna be long enough. But she has space in front of her home to park. I get that the street belongs to the city. I understand that. But to leave your car in front of somebody else's home for weeks at a time is irresponsible for that person. It's a safety issue for me and my kids because it's an abandoned car in front of my house. So if was criminal activity coming through, oh, I'm looking at this house, this car never moves. Nobody's there. You can break in. It's an EMT issue. They can't get to my house because she got 2 cars parked in front of my house at any given time. I have to park down the street and walk back up the street to park. I mean, to be at my house. Not only that, I've reached out to the police department. They've come out several times. Their resources could be used different than to keep tagging the car and she come out, pull the tag off. And they say, oh, well, we don't know if she moved it or not. You don't have any proof she didn't move it or not. I just called you and told you I watched her take the tag off the car. So call city code compliance. They refer me back to the police department. Like, I just need a resolution before it gets way out of hand. Because she calls the police to say I'm harassing her. I call the police because she's parked in front of my house. Like, it needs to stop. This has been going on long enough. It's been going on since like June of this year. I've reached out to the property owner. You know, he lives in Allen. He don't have no dog in the fight other than his rent. But everybody in my neighborhood is really sick of it. And we're just I'm seeking a resolution or directions in which way to go to get this taken care of.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Chief Wolf's gonna hand you a little business card, so. Okay. Clint, Woodward. You'll come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Clint Woodward. I'm the President and CEO of the Red Oak Area Chamber of Commerce. For the record, my address is 2233 Cinnamon Springs in Glen Heights. I want to apologize. Traditionally, I'm here in October, usually speaking with you all, but I had a conflict last month, so I wanted to come by and still give you an update on the chamber as we traditionally do every year. Of course, in October marks the start of a new fiscal year for the city, and of course, the start of a new partnership with the chamber as we start every year. And so I want to, of course, start by saying thank you for continuing our agreement, continuing our partnership year after year. Obviously, there's a long legacy on this council with the chamber. Obviously, Mayor Stanfill and Councilman Goodwin have been part of the chamber for many, many years. But I can look down the council line and know that we've had conversations, all of us have, and I've gone to each of you for counsel on many different things. So I want to say thank you for your continued support. The chamber has seen some wonderful growth this year. We are up over 60 members just in this calendar year alone. Obviously, we have a month and a half still to go. But we've been able to do several things that are outside the normal activities. I was able personally to finish my national certification, the Institute of Organizational Management certification as a chamber president, as well as our chamber has gotten involved with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We're officially members of the Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives, as well as the North Texas Chamber Executives. But one of the biggest differences we've had this year has obviously been our office. Being in this new building has been a huge benefit for our chamber. You know, one of the things that we've really done a lot this year is open up the space to some of our small businesses that don't necessarily have a home, and that help them with, you know, coming in, meet with your clients here with us in our office. We have the conference room space, and if we're not using it, by all means, please use that. And we average, you know, few hours every month. We're up over 25 hours this year alone of other businesses using our conference room space. And then we're using the space as well for educational purposes. So we're getting a lot of great use out of that office. And so we want to thank you for that as well. Last but not least, I want to definitely take the time to thank city staff for all the support throughout the year, for our Founder's Day, for Gala, for all of our luncheons, the things that we do throughout the year. Obviously, parks, public works, police, fire, economic development, the library, communications department, obviously the executive staff. But foremost, definitely want to take the time to thank Alexa. She's obviously not only an integral part of our chamber board, but she's definitely been a sounding board for me quite a bit in different things over the last few months. And so thank you again for your continued support of the chamber, and I look forward to working with you this year in 2025.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, that get together we had Saturday night was fabulous. I really enjoyed the auction, and the band was great, the food was good, and the company was outstanding. And I just wanted to bring that up for Clint. Job well done. Thank you very much, Clint.
I agree. And anytime you want to take and play Councilman Miller on basketball, he'll play you anytime. He's got game. No, the stories. Anyway, it was a great night, Saturday night. Was there anybody that did not get to turn in paperwork for speaking at citizens' comments that would like to address? Okay. Hearing none, we will go on with our meeting. We have the next order of business is consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon by one motion. Any council member or city staff can ask those to be pulled separately to give us more detail or discuss openly. Council, is there anything that needs to be pulled? And that's items 2 through 11.
No items.
I have none.
None for me.
Staff? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
That's Goodwin. And Miller.
What's his face?
No? Okay. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That is 5-0. Regular agenda. Item 12, conduct a public hearing and consider all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of the City of Red Oak combination tax and revenue certificate of obligation series 2024, including the approval of ordinance number 24-044, authorizing the issuance of such certificates and approving all other matters related hereto. Director Tierney, you want to talk about that, or do you want
We also have Jorge
Jorge?
Delgado here from.
Okay, they're gonna tag team it, so
Yep.
good.
Mayor, Council, good evening, good afternoon. It's good to see you all and be back in Red Oak. Again, Jorge Delgado with Hilltop Securities. We serve as financial advisor to the city of Red Oak. You may recall that late July, you kicked off a plan of finance to fund your capital improvement program this fiscal year. You funded your tax note. This is the second phase, which is issuance of certificates of obligation for some of your longer term projects, which is streets and utility improvements within the city of Red Oak. We got the green light from you all this summer to go ahead and fund the entire program. We have some positive news today. We've certainly been in a choppy market due to the election, but today you caught a firm market. It was very, very quiet yesterday. You got a nice lowering in interest rates last Friday before the Veterans Day holiday, and the city of Red Oak was able to capture that market. Again, it's a quick refresher. We're funding today. You're looking at the funding of $6.1 million against streets and utility improvements within the city. This does fit within the budget that you approved this summer earlier this year within your overall total tax rate that you have set. And we're continuing to be cognizant of the fact that you have a 5-year or a 10-year program that's coming along. And this continues to give you the flexibility to fund those projects in the future. So we've been working closely with Director Tierney, Tim McRoberts, Jonathan Phillips, and Todd, your city manager, on making sure that we're capturing the exact payment that we want to have within your budget, and the flexibility is there going forward. At 9 a.m. this morning, we went ahead and took bids. If you don't have this in front of you, you got a total of 7 bids. With the Baker Group out of Oklahoma, City of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, coming in as the low bidder at a 3.88% for a 20-year financing of your certificates of obligation, which is a great rate. We were budgeting at 4.21% back in July. We usually add a buffer, and we did this back in July, but even if we remove that buffer, we're still going to improve upon that. You got your confirmation of your AA rating. Congratulations. It was a very positive conversation with the rating agency. There's upward pressure there. We didn't get the conversation is positive towards upward pressure. What the rating agencies want to continue to see is growth in your market value, which you have seen. You grew 300% over the past 10 years in terms of assessed valuation, which is the value of the city. And you ran 9 years of surplus budgets, all positive, strong budgetary policies. They want to continue to see those trends to get us to the next level. We'll continue pushing for that. But a AA confirmation is just great to see, and it's what allowed you to capture this interest rate. All in all, what this means in terms of dollars and cents is we're going to be seeing a lower principal and interest of $245,000 over the life of the certificates compared to the budget we had with you here back in July. So we strongly recommend you log this in. This is a tax exempt rate. This is a fixed rate. So you'll be able to log this in tonight for the life of the certificates. You meet all the parameters you set forth back in July. So we feel very good about this result. You got 7 bids. The cover bid was only a couple basis points above the winning bid. So you got a good market rate today. And what is overall a turbulent marketplace. But we feel good about the 3.88%. Mayor, Council, any questions? I'd be happy to address those at any time.
Thank you.
Thanks for the background. This is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. Would you like to speak on anything? Okay. All right. We'll open this public hearing at 7:33. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this? Again, this is something that cities do. The only way we can do expansion of roads and stuff, unless you are just independently wealthy as a city, so you have to get some type of CO bond. We'll stretch that time at 7:34. Entertain the motion to close this.
So moved. Second.
Lightfoot. Smith. Those in favor.
Franklin, I.
Good, right.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That closes 5-0. Is there special wordage that we have to say, or we could just say,
I
to
think there's a
ex-
motion in here.
okay,
I can read that.
please?
Move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of City of Red Oak, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, series 2024, and approving all other matters related thereto.
Okay, that's by Lightfoot.
Second.
Franklin, those in favor? Oh,
Frank.
I'm sorry. Questions?
No question.
Um,
No
Okay.
question.
With those two, first and second motion, your vote, please.
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you very much. Saved the city some money over the period of time, so thank you.
That's great.
Item 13, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-045, amending the future land use plan and map as heretofore amended by granting the change of zone 4 of the I-35 East corridor vision plan to include truck parking as one of the recommended uses permitted on the site described as being situated in the MD Bullion Survey Abstract number 161 and addressed as 302 South Interstate 35E, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. This is zoning ZC 24-21, requested by NAPI, Dr. Emma.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The applicant is requesting to amend the future land use plan. Currently, it is the subject property, it is south of Brothers Boulevard and east of I-35, as shown on your screen. This is the subject site. So they're requesting to amend the Zone 4 of the I-35 corridor vision plan. This zone calls for high quality, highway retail oriented development with offices and general service uses because of its visibility to I-35 and its accessibility. But the applicant is requesting to change the zoning so that it can allow the storage of trucks or parking on their site. This is a companion item to the following agenda item for a zoning change request. So would you all like to open up that public hearing as well for the zoning so we can get into the details of the site plan, landscape plan, and elevation plan, or would you prefer to discuss this?
Sure. So let me read item 14 and then we'll open them both together, or you'll give me background. Is that what
Yes,
you're- okay.
yes.
So item 14 is conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-046, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance in the map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a zoning change from agricultural district AG to plan development ED 178 by amending the development regulations to allow for a truck parking use on site as described as being situated in the MD Bullion Survey Abstract number 161 and addressed as 302 South Interstate I-35, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. And this is ZC 24-22, requested by NAPI.
So this is, in this second case, our public hearing, this is for the actual PD request for the site. Because the comprehensive plan would be amended, they're requesting to amend it to include truck parking as one of the recommended uses in the comprehensive plan. So right now, it's not listed as a recommended use in zone 4 of the I-35 corridor
When
plan.
you say recommended use, you mean for commercial use?
Yes, yeah, all commercial uses are prohibited, and automobile uses are prohibited out of the context of like convenience store with gas pumps. They're all prohibited. So, the zoning change request would be for, because currently the NAPHID, they do have a site, in Red Oak, and it's addressed as 398, North I-35, and it's east of I-35 and north of Century Way. And here's Comforts Inn. So just to give you a little bit of context, this is the site right here, the existing NAPHID site. And then this is the subject site that we're discussing tonight. So currently on that site, the existing site to the north, they install equipment on trucks, so crane bodies, dump trucks, or not dump trucks, but dump bodies on the trucks, and they store them on site. There's currently an overflow of storage, as you can see. So they're requesting to have that subject site used as storage for their new trucks only.
So before they put the beds or the attachments on there.
So it's gonna be for new trucks that are fitted, but everything's gonna be new. And they're not gonna be 18-wheeler trucks. They're gonna be trucks that are 7,500 pounds or less. So if you remember, if like you can think of like an Encore truck and like, you know how they have like the cranes, they lift them up. So they do that kind of stuff. They fit them, yeah. They lift them up. So it'll be used to just store the trucks there on the site. So for the details. So they did submit a site plan showing about 517 parking spaces. The original submittal did have most of the site as asphalt. During the Planning and Zoning Commission, they did recommend that it be approved with the site being 100% concrete, and the applicant did agree to that. There will be no structure on the site except for a guardhouse where the security will be able to stay. There will be lighting on the site, and it will be shielded so that they're proposing to have lighting on the site, and it be shielded so there's no light pollution on adjacent properties. And they are also proposing wrought iron decorative fence on the west side of the sites, and then on the south, east, and north sides of the site, they're proposing a chain link fence with slats. In an effort to screen the use from I-35, they are going to be they're proposing to install a 6-foot high berm with shrubs and trees on the berm. There. Is to screen the use from the service road. And this is a more kind of zoomed in look. And this is this is a proposal of how it would look. And then this is a sightline view of how it will look from I-35. And then this is the zoning change request.
Hello? Yeah. Oh,
And this is the zoning change request for PD 178.
Change it to all concrete.
Yes.
So I guess they have to have. Okay, so let's open the public hearing first, and then I do have some questions. So open the public hearing at 7:43. Was there anybody here that wishes to speak on this? State your name and I assume you're for.
Good evening, Tyler Marcus, 2345 North 1750th Avenue in Camp Point, Illinois. Facility manager with NAPI. I just want to go over some of the reasons we're requesting this and some of the benefits. So at our current site, we are out of space. We've been leasing some space in Waxahachie. It's just not feasible long-term for us to lease that space that far away. If we ever want to grow this site, we will need additional parking. I mean, we have trucks on top of trucks at our current site. The capital investment, we're estimating about $3.5 million to complete this project here. I think Emma went through most of the highlights, but obviously we'll tear the structure down. The structure's not in great shape now, so I think that'll be a benefit for the area. We'll have that decorative wrought iron fence that we talked about. We'll pave the site with concrete. We do agree. We will do that. We will have light poles, 1-foot candle throughout the site, so it's pretty low light levels. In that shack that you see there, or CMU block, it's not necessarily a guardhouse. It's more for a lot check-in, so it won't be occupied 24/7. It'll just be to make sure during the day, if trucks are coming and going, that we know who's taking a truck. Number of jobs created, we'll just have one new position as a result of this project, but by moving trucks from our current site down to this site, it will allow us to grow our current facility. So if we add another shift of installers, that could create about another 20 jobs. We currently employ about 100 employees today. Commencement would be ASAP. We want to get this going as soon as hopefully we get this approval and get a permit. We're thinking probably 6 to 8 months of construction once we begin. A few other things, Knapheide has operated at this site, the current site north of this, since 2006. Before us was a company called J-Rod. They had been there since the 1970s. Knapheide's also been in business since 1848, so a year older than the city of Red Oak. That's everything I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Time is 7:46 and I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Goodwin. Franklin.
Mayor, just for the record, that would include both
Franklin,
public.
aye.
Good one, aye.
Miller, aye.
I put a.
Smith, aye.
That's 5-0 to close it. Council, you have any questions on this?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Emma, do you mind? A few questions. Could you give me the distance between the proposed site and the subject site? Okay, and currently, does the city ordinance recognize a parking lot as an accessory use or main use?
It doesn't recognize it as a primary use. It recognizes it as an accessory use. For example, there's a main building on there, then there's parking requirements.
Okay, so I'm having a hard time believing that one, this quarter of a mile distance, a blank parking lot on prime real estate is the highest and best use for this lot. I'm struggling with that. To store 500 trucks that I'm assuming we get no taxable value, like we get no return or anything on this, aside from what, one job that he said?
I think part of what's missing in the story here, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying what's kind of been missed out of the story from both Emma and from Knapheide is they have been looking for a site to go to for over a year, months. And they're at the point now that they are going to be looking to move their entire operation if they can't get somewhere close to this so that it will work. We've had a very good relationship with Knapheide, J-Rod previously through the years. They have been a very good employee. And that's why we've even considered bringing this to council, is because it's not that it's adding a job, it's that it is helping to keep 100+ jobs that we've had here for a number of years. So that's kind of why we're here in the first place. I think that's what's been.
How big is the proposed site? What is the
Acres.
acreage?
So the top one's 14 acres, right? What's the new one?
About
5.6.
So give or take 6 acres of prime real estate for parking trucks. And I get the relationship. I do understand that. But I'm just trying to see long-term in the next 20 years, how does that benefit the city of Red Oak? That's what I'm struggling with. And I don't want to hog the questions because I have several, but that's the primary concern.
I don't think you can call it prime real estate from where I've seen it. It's right next to Red Oak Creek. And it doesn't lend itself to many businesses that I can see. It's just not, it's not what I'd call real prime real estate, Councilor.
There's no freeway exit right there, because it's just north of there, correct?
Yeah, it's way north of.
That's what I was gonna
It's a
ask.
sharp turn.
Where's the exit?
It's a sharp
It's a
turn.
sharp turn.
You can make it. I've done it. When we were watching,
Fireworks.
mud buggies. Okay.
And
So what's a typical stay for a truck on site? So if you had to walk through, a truck comes in, does it go to the primary site or does it go to the bottom site first? And then when does it move there and then does it come back down for storage until the client's ready for it? Or how does that work?
Yes. Been on the side, offload there, check the. It's gonna be around for a few days. Then once we get into the production schedule, it's back to the main site, upfitted, back out on the carrier and off. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so maybe 10 days to 20, 30 days.
Yeah, so
Long-term storage, nothing's less.
it's gonna turn out, yeah.
Okay.
And it's also gonna be the volume, like ebbs and flows, so there's times there's gonna be a lot of trucks on the lot, there's times when a lot of trucks not gonna have,
And then one last question that I have and foresee, so does that ever enable you to be able to shift some of the, I mean, if you scan in on that primary site, there's a bunch of vehicles there that enable you to be able to expand there?
that is ultimately the hope, down the road, we'd love to add some production space and obviously add more head count. That's in our vision and, we've got to be able to resolve the
Sure.
volume crunch to get to that point. We just really kind of outgrown our space.
Yeah.
Years.
Are y'all willing to make deals?
Mr. Mayor, who maintains the service road from this constant access of 8,000-pound trucks with
That's
500?
state- That's state highway,
But we'll get the phone calls.
exactly. And then that's when we pass it on to our representative at TxDOT. Is that not correct? Just like you brought up the point right there in front of McDonald's and TxDOT hasn't stepped it up.
And I still get calls from that.
I know, we still do. And I'm sure,
I think the other point is those trucks are already going there today. They're just going from all the way down to Waxahachie.
And you might ask police chief how many accidents and problems he's had down there. Nothing happened.
I have a question. How does this amendment align with the long-term development goal for I-35 corridor? The fact that there's a lot going on. What is our vision, long-term wise, for that particular?
Well, I think that's what.
that's the
general
change.
question.
Yeah, so the change would be to allow this, which right now it doesn't fit into what we've already established,
That's
what we
what-
had our consultant
Correct.
develop. If, without stepping.
Got it.
My question would be, Miss Emma, none of the residents around there? There's not really any residents, correct? The apartments are a little bit too far. Those are all storage units, I believe.
I believe this is a resident.
That's pretty much the only residence.
Right.
There's nothing south of it or that.
South of it was gonna be the data center.
Well, that's that data
center.
Is that a church still active there?
I don't think they're.
No, the data center they took that spot too. didn't they?
No, I don't think they
No.
took the church spot.
Okay.
but I
The
don't
church
think
owns
The
it.
church was, they said the church wasn't operating.
Right.
So the berm, it doesn't kind of go behind that church, right?
Let me show you.
So do we have to be worried about that?
The berm goes here, then here, and then yeah, it stops right here, and then here's some parking.
Yeah, so that's the question.
Yes,
I mean,
If you want more berm
Well, I'm just that if that's, if that's vacant, it's gonna get sold, right? I assume, maybe, you would think.
What long-term happens with that lot? I guess is what the question is.
This one,
Right.
They can-
If it sells to somebody and they put in a Jack in the Box or whatever, in there, now you're looking at all the cars. You may not be necessarily looking at them from driving down the highway, but now you're looking at them from some business back in there. And I guess what the question is, can we extend the berm all the way down to the southern border?
Well, there may not be distance for the berm or anything like that, but maybe make that a solid wall there. I guess just to block for future aspects, so we're not having to come back or make the person that buys that and puts a striptease club right there, whatever. I'm just, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying, just, but to have a solid wall there. So was there not another plan higher up that said it was a concrete wall around it? When you
I
were
believe that's
trying to-
the retaining wall.
Oh, cause there's an elevation change. and so they're having to
Right.
do,
Let's make sure.
and that piece of property doesn't have to have a water retention or detention pond? Or do we even know yet? It probably hasn't been surveyed yet, or underneath?
No, so the pond will be, so instead of having an open detention pond, they're gonna use their parking lot as the pond. So it'll all pool
gutter?
up. Do what?
It'd have a curb?
Yeah, so it's got on the south, it all drains to the south and it'll have a curb with small 2-inch pipe every 10 feet that goes through it that releases it slowly. So it'll pool up for a few hours and then release over time, which is easy solution for this property. We wouldn't really allow that on a commercial site because people would be,
Sure, stepping in.
yeah, yeah.
How
they'd be-
close are they to a flood zone?
300 or so feet.
That's right there.
There's a property in between them and the creek.
What's the floodplain? Is it 100 or 500 year?
That's on it's the 100 years much further away. I mean, and the 500 years only 10 feet outside of that usually.
Okay.
Outside of the distance one.
You said there's 2-inch pipes for the water? None
Yes.
of that's gonna go to that house that's touching it in the corner, is it?
No, it's gonna continue to the south because that all drains.
But none of that will go into that housing addition? I guess it's just one piece of property.
What
touching it.
is the area that's already going there will, but it's gonna be detained and then released back to existing condition.
Take it, staff recommend approval.
I think staff's okay with it. It's, you know, is it the highest and best use if we're talking about it just this lot by itself, maybe. But I think when you take into consideration, we're not able to get something going here, then we lose the business, then I think, you know, from my standpoint, I have to consider, I don't want to lose, you know, one of our great employees.
This sort of reminds me of that lawn and garden place south of here. They were in the Red Oak city limits and we didn't approve them. They went across the street when Waxahachie. There's all that, so.
This lot is not easy to get to either. The exit right here is, I mean, you're making a joke that it's a rough turn. It's a real rough turn to make it into that. It couldn't be a high traffic retail place. I mean, and you can't really move the exit back because then you're at the creek, so it's not a great spot for high traffic retail anyway.
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see this daily. I don't know about that, but I get your point.
So my only comment would be is somehow to come back with a solid wall. I think you know where I'm talking about, just south of that berm. Whatever the staff would recommend to make that, so we don't have to deal with somebody.
Shielding the other
that buys-
property.
Yeah, so.
We just stipulate that in the.
Yes, if you wanna just point on here and say, put a brick screening wall from point A to point B. That's motion.
Modify that. Okay.
One more question for me. Why is on the top right-hand corner up north part, there's 3 walls and why everything else is 2? Is that us?
Can you slide that?
So,
Deeper into the side. The elevation is just, they're just more cut there. That's why there's 3 retaining
Yeah.
walls having to come down.
Is that something we're requiring or just they're just?
Makes it flat.
It's just retaining, yeah.
Alright. I just wonder why I saw 3 walls and then 2 everywhere else. I was like,
Okay.
That's kind of like pyramid. It's easier to build
yeah.
terraced.
Any other questions, council?
No questions.
All right. We were gonna take each one, we need to take the first one, right, correct? Okay. Entertain the motion to adopt, ordinance number 24-045, amending the future land use plan and map as presented.
So move.
Goodwin?
Second.
Smith? Those in favor?
Franklin, no.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller. Yes.
Yes?
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 4-1. Item 2, consider approval of ordinance number 24-046.
Yeah, might as well eat something.
To approve that.
With the wall.
Yes. Do you understand where it is? Screening wall.
Along the east property boundary of the church property
Yes.
or that's it.
How, we need to know the height of the wall.
Yes. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Y'all are amenable to that? Well, I think you'll lose spaces. I'm trying to save you spaces.
Either one's fine, well, fine.
Okay. You. Can
Mayor?
we leave that up to y'all working that out amongst staff?
6 foot masonry wall.
Whatever's recommended, so it doesn't. If that's,
just say screening of the property.
yeah,
The normal screening.
Screening the property with a 6-foot masonry wall or a berm similar to the rest of the berm.
So moved.
Second.
all right, that's Lightfoot, Goodwin. Those in favor?
Franklin, no.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 4-1. Thank you. So like next week, y'all start closing and turning dirt, right?
Soon.
Thank y'all. Item 15, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 24-047, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas as heretofore amended by granting a zoning change from Plan Development 29 revised 3 to Plan Development 29 revised 4 by amending the development regulations to allow any non-conforming use of 5,000 square feet or greater to relocate to another part of the subject site identified as Lot 2R, Block B of the Red Oak Business Park Number 1, located on the southern corner of South Main Street and the railroad tracks, located at 205 South Main Street, Red Oak, Texas, Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, ZC 24-20, requested by Stephen Zimmerman, Dr. Emma.
Mayor and Council, this is a request this actually came before you all during, not last city council's meeting, but the one before for the parking change for 205 South Main. The applicant is back again to request that the existing church on site. They're requesting to move it back to these suites, 1701 through 04. The number of seats aren't increasing. It's just so that they're wanting this vacant so that a more appropriate like retail office use space can go into suites 1901 through 04 because there's much more visibility to the street. So without this change, the church wouldn't be able to go into these back suites because the church is a legal non-conforming use. So we wouldn't be able to issue a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, see that.
So this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at 8:05. And we have Christopher Fagans. Is that right? You want, or Mr. Zimmerman? How are you?
I'm good. How are you
Welcome
doing?
back.
Thank you. 3 years and running now. Steven Zimmerman, 5307 Oak Lake Drive, Dallas, 75287. So like I said, for the almost 3 years that I've been coming here, this is probably the most simple request I can imagine coming here for. In layman's terms, we just want to open up this space over here to a better retail use for the shopping center. As y'all are aware, the shopping center is under contract. It's actually set to close tomorrow. This would be what we would call a deal breaker. We have to move the church in the back so we can open up that for prime real estate in the center to make the center, for all the improvements that we've told you about, a successful center that people love to go to. They love to shop and everything. This helps the potential owners, the shopping center, the image of the center, and it actually helps the church out quite a bit as well, because we will be like a relocation of them. So we're going to foot the bill on putting them in there, as well as lowering their rent. So it helps out the church, it helps out the shopping center, and it definitely makes the new buyers extremely happy. And I can't remember, I wasn't at the last meeting, but Ben used a term, this is really just an issue of paperwork, and forgive me if I'm quoting you wrong, is when we rezoned this, we got rid of any uses that took up a ton of parking. As y'all know, I've been here several times for that. We finally got that remedied. But for them to move, they have to get a CO, and then it would be considered a new use, and we can't do that. So that's really the only reason we're here, is can we just move them to the back so we can open up for all the reasons I just told you. And it's not going to increase their seats. It's actually going to give them a lot more leg room, though. They're going to have more administration offices that they could use. And also they're going to be right next to their other space where the kids are. So I know for a fact that the parents don't love that the kids are behind. That, it's right next door. It's the perfect storm for everyone. So, I mean, really, that's it. Just can we move them to the back?
Yes, sir.
And I've got Dan here. He's the potential buyer, and he can, if y'all want to hear about some of the improvements, he can step up and talk to you about some of the improvements that he wants to make to the center.
Did we have those before?
We did.
I think we're good unless you want to add something different. Okay, come on up.
Thanks, everybody. Dan Avneri, 5237 Running River Drive. Nice to talk to you guys today. Yeah, so it just a little history on the property. You guys most likely all know this, but it's around a 20-year-old property. There's 30% vacancy now. There are 3 spaces in the property that have never been leased before, and we're coming in with a big budget to spend a lot of money to turn everything around. However, we will not buy the property if the church cannot relocate. We'll hear from Mr. Christopher Fagans here in just a minute, but due to the current layout of his current space, it's not conducive. This space actually used to be a former church space that we're proposing to relocate them to. It's got a very nice layout. So he stated that if this relocation is not approved, they've already found another church outside of the city, I think DeSoto or somewhere, he'll say in a minute, but he'll relocate. So in that case, the 30% vacant property will go to maybe 50% or so vacancy. Because as you can see on the diagram, they're taking the 2,500 square foot space next door, the 5,000 square foot space in front. It'd just be too much vacancy. So we would not follow through with buying. you guys might wonder, why do we care if this guy buys the property? We're gonna be spending a lot of money. We talked about the improvements last time, but just friendly reminder, we're gonna be putting in a playground, landscaping all around. The spaces that have never been occupied, they're shell. We're gonna finish them out speculatively white box, which means restroom, ceiling tiles, air conditioning, just turn the key and it's move-in ready, which we think will lease a lot faster. New painting around the property, a new street appeal, an archway entrance. You drive under an archway that says the name of the property. We're gonna come back to the city for approval on a lot of these items, so you'll see me again. Hopefully, if you approve this, then we can buy it tomorrow and do that. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What city did you say?
Oh, I live in Plano,
Okay. Did you get that, Karen?
5237 Running River, Plano, Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fagans. Reverend Fagans. You bet.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I don't think there's much I need to say. I like to talk because I'm a preacher, so I do that anyway. No, but seriously, for us, it's this is one of the, we were thinking about moving out because we hadn't reached the point to have funds to purchase land. And we know that there's more land here than buildings. But this will allow us to extend our lease by 3 years. It allows us to build a solid foundation for our church. This has been the first place in our 10 years that we've actually set up roots and actually began to grow and make an impact. Next year, I will actually go to full-time pastoring. So I'll be more active in the city. Myself, my wife, is currently a teacher in the middle school and will be hopefully a counselor at the middle school, one of the middle schools on next year. Sorry, 1110 Waterford Drive, Waxahachie, Texas. Got you. Yeah. And so we've moved to Ellis County. And so we're excited to be a part of this community. We're excited to do more. We're hoping to purchase property in Red Oak with amongst our board. We don't want to leave here. This has been the best growth that we've ever had. And for us, whenever you make a major move, you oftentimes lose a lot of people. But if I got to tell people, hey, we moved 5 feet away, Sunday after church, pick up chairs, let's go. It's a little better feel and more people be connected. I'm excited about the layout. As I said, it's a little bit more open, less curves, because we kind of took what we had at that time. It allows us to do more things for the community, whether it's food giveaways, turkey drives, whatever it is. We can hopefully get to a position to partner with the chamber a little bit more and just do a lot of great things. So hopefully it's something that you guys will approve. And if you have any questions, we would love to answer them at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this? Okay. Entertain the motion at 8:13 to close this public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Lightfoot. Smith. Those in favor of closing.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. Council, any questions?
No questions.
to me. No questions.
Okay, and this was approved by P and Z, correct? Fully? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 24-047.
So move.
How about a gaggle versus a second of gaggles? Let's say Franklin and Miller. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
See you in a couple months for something.
That's right.
Good.
That's right. Thank you.
Great.
Good luck on your closing.
Thank you.
Item 16, consider adoption of resolution number 24-116R, the city of Red Oak, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of utility relocation agreement from Hilco Electric Co-op for the relocation of utility infrastructure within the city of Red Oak, Texas, as it relates to the reconstruction and widening of Yule Road in the amount not to exceed $449,032 as provided in Exhibit A, authorizing the city manager or designee to sign said agreement, subject to the final approval as to form by the city attorney, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date. Mr. Benford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is part of the Yule Road project, that we're partnering with the city of Glen Heights, widening it from 1.5 lane asphalt to a nice 4 lane concrete road. So with that, the, Hillco electric line on the western side of Yule, running from South Villa Road, north all the way up to the Magnolia Farms, and then cutting across the new Yule Road and tying in there at Brook Hollow. So our initial estimate, from Hillco, and granted, this is about, 2 years ago when we started this project, was $200,000 for this utility relocate. With that and with TxDOT's involvement, it has actually had to shift slightly, more to the west. And because of that, it's putting a strain on the electrical poles, and Hillco needs to put in those giant concrete poles, instead of the standard wooden poles there at the Ovilla intersection. Those poles alone are adding about $200,000 in cost to the project. So that took the estimate from $200,000 to option one, doing full overhead at $341,510. In talking with engineering and in talks with Glen Heights, it is our recommendation, and I think we'd all end up with a much better product if we took this underground. And we didn't pay for $200,000 for 2 concrete pillars. So we asked Hillco to run this for us, and we just got a final number from them today. So it's actually $529,031.55 to go full underground from south of Ovilla Road all the way to Magnolia Farms and Harmony. It runs the same route, it's just underground essentially. Part of this is we made an agreement with the city of Glen Heights that they would foot 50% of all construction costs. So I have sent this over to Glen Heights for their review as well, with our recommendation for going underground with your approval. So the increase over the initial estimate would be $329,031, with Red Oak's 50% contribution at $164 or $164,515.78, because they would have to, foot 50% of that. We would make the whole purchase and then they reimburse us.
And so we're approving this extra 100,000 is for what?
To take it underground instead of overhead for the electric. So at a minimum, we would have to approve option one, which would be the whole thing being overhead for $341,000. So an extra $141,000 over what we initially thought it was going to be and what was included in Glen Heights cost sharing that they sent us.
Mayor, if I may, I think the confusion is that when we had to prepare the agenda, Hillco had given us the $449,000 number. And then Jared found out today that the estimate had increased by $80,000. So that's why the change, and that's why the additional documentation here at your seat.
Look over, imagine that. Thank you. Okay.
So, and this is just a question. The 200,000 that we initially budgeted, was that all us, or was that 100 us and 100 Glen Heights, or was that 200 us and 200 Glen Heights? Because if it's all us, then to us, that's only about a $65,000 increase, because they would have to put in their entire half, and we've already got 200,000 budget.
From what I've found in the amount that was given to Glen Heights as their estimate of 50%, that was included, the $200,000.
Okay, but from our budget, what we budgeted on our end, did we budget 200,000 as our half?
So if you'll remember, we actually budgeted for the entire project.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's an escrow account with the Yule Road funding in it. And that's for the entire project. So we haven't touched that escrow fund since we found out that Glen Heights was going to participate in the project. So the original, when we were doing 1.5 lanes or whatever it was, do you
Mhm.
remember the original amount?
I don't know the original amount. Well, the shift in Hilco is due to the western expansion of adding 2 more lanes. If we were only working on our side of the road, there would be no westward expansion for
Right.
Hilco.
Ben, do you remember the total
Yeah,
amount?
we were gonna have to pay the whole thing. 'Cause it- Road where their poles are right now.
But I understand that. Do you remember the original budget of the project? The full project?
No,
Just-
was it 1.7 million?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember the total.
Yeah, I think it was, again, without it in front of me, I believe it was around $2 million was what we had in that escrow account for Yule Road. So if that's the case, then we have, we have more money in that account that we need because of the half participation by Glen Heights.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So we don't have to do anything.
No, we still.
We have to
do-
approve it.
Mhm.
But we may have a funding.
We may have a funding source where we're not having to go into savings from another project.
Right, and we do have savings.
We do.
from-
We have a way to fund it if that's not the case. I just don't have that number in front of me.
Staff recommends approval.
Yes, sir.
We made recommendation of approval 4 years ago, whenever we put that $1 million aside.
Yeah.
Cause that was when we did that. Okay,
And I apologize for the confusion at
no,
the
no,
last
no,
minute
no,
numbers.
it's a long time ago and we need to get it done. What is the benefit of going underground though? So that size cable, how much is that carrying electricity wise? And the only reason why I'm bringing this up, because we tried to get other people to put things underground. They said there was too much electrical to go underground. And we made those concessions to go overground, like at Google or whatever, some of those back road areas. So I always liked going underground. We made the developer who put there at the Dell's property between Yule and I-35, and they put them up overground to come back in and put them underground. So I guess is that why we're saying that? But this is in the Glen Heights. Do we have to do something different? It's in Glen Heights City? We're approving money to work in the Glen Heights City. So how does that happen?
In our agreement with them, we are the construction managers for the project, so we have.
Right, to be able to do that?
But we're also moving the power lines from our side to their side regardless. So it's a question of, do we want to drive down Yule and see power lines or
No.
not?
Man, I'm for it. I just,
And this would also be a very large crossing over Ovilla as well. So not just the poles along Yule, but another aerial crossing across Ovilla. And we've all seen those giant trucks come through with the overhead loads. And so
so we're gonna lose all those power lines over Ovilla Road there? Or
we're just not adding more.
It's gonna go and then drop down.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the south side, it would drop down, go underground under Ovilla and stay underground all the way to the
So we're
extent of the
losing
project.
power lines over Ovilla Road.
The,
right
the
there.
one crossing that goes up Yule.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Does this benefit the two owners of those two properties for development later, or more attractive to businesses coming in, or?
It is more attractive to both Red Oak citizens in the area and Glen Heights. But
Those two properties, 'cause I know we were talking about trying to get a store in there.
they'll stub out electricity. They'll
still
probably
same.
put cabinet boxes near
Mhm.
there to
Still the
store.
same, no-
Yeah, I mean,
no benefits or anything.
not really, not in the terms of you're talking about like monetary benefits.
It's just gonna be aesthetic.
Mhm.
No
Absolutely.
Chinese spaghetti.
Okay. All right, so this is just any other questions, council?
No question.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Projected timeline, I mean, over there and everybody's wondering what's going on with that street and is there any way or any plan to keeping the community updated on what's happening? Because there's clearly something happening, but they
Right.
don't feel that. They don't know what's happening.
So currently, the biggest delay is waiting on Hilco for all this. And if we did go with the concrete poles, that actually adds, what do you say, 90 days?
Yeah.
Waiting on the concrete poles. So it just adds another 3 months to the construction schedule versus underground. It's just a matter of scheduling crews. So it also adds a shortened timeline to the project as well as a better aesthetic at the end.
So council, just for your benefit, if you haven't driven that way, they've already relocated some of the gas lines and
Mhm.
stuff, so I think that's part to your question. Yeah, so I entertain the motion to adopt resolution 24-116R.
Good, so move.
Option,
To go underground.
Yeah.
option 2.
Yeah, okay, option 2.
Yep.
So moved. Yeah, no structural poles.
Yep.
Okay. So that was Smith,
Good one.
Goodwin. So I do have the question. They can't now back out of us, Glen Heights, can they?
No, we actually have their funding in the escrow account as well.
Okay. All right, those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good one, I.
Miller, I.
Smith, aye.
That passes 4-0. That Councilman Lightfoot had to step out on a personal matter, and he'll join us here in just a second. Thank you, sir. Item 17, consider approval of ordinance number 24-048, City of Council, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, granting a franchise and license a franchise agreement with Waste Management, Inc. as provided in Exhibit A and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute an agreement subject to the final approval as to form by city attorney, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date. Mr. Binford.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So this is a franchise and license for Waste Management to operate to a single facility in the city of Red Oak, specifically for multi-stream recycling, but they will also handle the solid waste for that facility as well. Their services that they offer are to facilitate a zero waste initiative by the property owner. And all franchises must be approved by city council.
So
What's happening here?
yeah. Give us more detail. Who's it gonna be?
So it's for Compass data centers.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So currently, you know, the via contract with the city of Red Oak, it is community waste disposal. And this would be a exemption to that franchise or exemption to that contract to allow waste management specifically to service Compass data centers for solid waste and multi-stream recycling.
So is that? Mr. Phillips, can you explain?
Yes, sir.
So is that something that, we've done that for another company, Bombardier or Carbon?
No, to my knowledge, this is the first case where we've had to, where we've had a business that needed a certain level of service in their solid waste and recycling collection, and that the vendor wasn't able to meet their
Our
requirements.
current city. vendor.
Citywide
Right.
provider, yes, correct.
Growers or CWD. CWD, they just don't handle it.
Right, so they're requiring a certain level of reporting to basically prove up that they're any solid waste disposal that they have, they're offsetting with recyclables, so they have a net zero impact. And I guess working through with the current franchise agreement, we weren't able to do that. So they had a prior relationship with Waste Management, and that Waste Management has been able to provide those services at other locations.
Okay,
So this is not just them saying, we don't like CWD, that really can't provide the service they need.
Right. We've gone through a process and we've spoken to both the business and the franchise.
okay. Well, council, we have to make this a public hearing, so we cannot take action on this.
Have a public hearing?
No, we don't have. a
Have to
public-
have, it's not posted for it. Well,
Thank you, sir.
what the plan is for the, canvassing of the election. We won't get that until Friday, certified from the county. So we're gonna have to call a special meeting for Monday to go ahead and canvass the election, so we can, it doesn't have to be a 2 weeks notice or anything on the public hearing. So we'll just go ahead and post the public hearing for this item on Monday's agenda as well. We can go ahead and discuss it tonight if you have questions, but we will have to have the public hearing first.
So what, you want to ask your questions now or you want to wait? All right. It seems pretty straightforward with what you explained, so thank you. So we're waiting. Save lives, gentlemen. Thank you.
Put out fires while you.
Okay, item 18, consider of, I can just skip over that item, right? I don't have it. Okay, all right. Consider approval of, appointment, reappointment, resignations, or removal of membership of city boards or commissions as follows: Parks and Rec, resignation of Maria, Dowding, effective October 17th of 2024. Anybody want to comment on this? All right, entertain the motion to accept that resignation. All right. Brad. That's Councilman Miller, good one. And this happens to be because the young lady moved out of the city. So those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good one, I.
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
That passes 5-0. Welcome back. Chief Plant, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we talked about last month during the October meeting, that it was October is Fire Prevention Month. Our crews, some of which obviously just left, we were able to participate in numerous events around the city, from daycares, schools, church groups, and we were able to speak with and educate over 1,971 children and adults, over 1,500 of those being children. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for a department of our size, getting out there in the month of October and educating our public on fire safety. Also wanted to let you know that the brush truck that we ordered back in October of 2022, a little over 2 years ago, we finally received it today. Woohoo! Plan on bringing that to you next month. We got a couple more.
Fail some hay.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So we're excited that we finally got that. We got a couple more upfitting items that we're gonna have hopefully taken care of before we bring it to you, and get that thing in service, do an in-service for all of our crews to make sure everybody knows how to operate it. It's a brush truck. It's pretty simple, but we try not to put anything in service without proper
Does that carry
education to make
water?
sure. Sir?
Does that carry water?
Yes, sir. It carries
gallons?
300 gallons of water.
300?
Yes, sir. 400? I'm sorry, 400 gallons of water. That's the reason that's the reason I sit in the chief seat and he does the work. Yeah. Yeah. So, other than that, unless you have any questions, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Wolf. Make some comment. Go ahead.
I love our fire chief. Mayor, Council, I don't have a whole lot to add. We are currently down to 3 vacancies in the department. We have 3 people in the pipeline right now that are laterals that we're looking at. Well, hopefully next time we come to council, I'll be able to present those last 3 to get us to full staffing. We're still currently maintaining a 3-minute and 45-second average response time on priority 1 call types. So we're still handling our business, even though we're still a little shorthanded. The temporary animal shelter that we'll be moving into with the approval of the agenda item tonight on consent is almost complete and up and running. We hope to have that completed by the end of this week and be able to start moving our services from the existing shelter into the temporary shelter on Red Oak Road for the construction to start. So everything's moving along pretty well. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Sure. Ms. Beasley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wanted to start by thanking you, those of you who were able to attend our Red Oak Fall Festival on the 19th of October. We hope you guys enjoyed the event and some of the new vendors and additions we had this year. So we hope you guys enjoyed that. October was a busy month for the Communications and Marketing Department. So in addition to the Fall Festival, we did support several other departmental events with marketing materials, photo and video on site. So our staff was very busy during the month of October. A few other highlights from the report. Though it may seem early, we have started decorating for the holidays already. The inside of this building is complete and and we are working on getting the final installation for the wreath and garland on the outside of the facility this week. In addition to that, we are partnering again with Red Oak ISD and Ellis County for the Toys for Tots drive. So our boxes have gone out here at the Government Center, as well as PD Admin has one too. And we are doing an additional collection this year at our Christmas event as well. So we've got some clever ideas, maybe some ways to cut the line for your pictures with Santa if you bring a gift with you. So we're hoping that that's a sell for some. So an additional collection on site at that event, hopefully gain some more toys. And that is all. Oh, finally, we are working on State of the City. So if you guys are interested in participating in that and have not let me know if you will do so, we'd love to have every council member do at least some portion of the on-camera for State of the City. Last year, we were roughly about 17 minutes. We are trying to pare it down a little bit and keep it closer to that 12-minute, really ensuring engaging content and that people will watch it the whole way through. So
Take the mayor out. He'll cut that 17 minutes down.
What's the date on the,
on filming,
yes,
so we're working on finalizing that with our videographer right now. Our goal is to start filming the on-camera portion the week of December 9th.
okay.
So we are flexible on the date that week.
Give me a call and tell me.
I will. Okay. So yes, if you guys would be interested, we'd love to have everybody, at least, like I said, do some portion and be on camera. It worked out really well, I think, with having a large group last year. So. And that is all I have, and I will take any questions anybody might have. Well, I will give Councilmember Smith kudos, Mayor Pro Tem Smith kudos, because he was the only one that emailed me back right away and said, yes, sign me up. Just let me know when. So.
Sorry.
I didn't know we had a choice. I normally get voice.
I'm in.
So next year I will send you the date on your date and time for filming.
Just tell us when.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for me?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartman.
Mayor, Council, I had one thing I wanted to highlight from last month. We issued a final CO for Zook's, a new sit-down restaurant in Red Oak. So go check them out. It looks like a really good place.
Yep.
What's the name of it?
Zook's.
Oh, yeah, Zeus.
Yeah.
They
At the old,
They're
the
the one that
old,
catered Saturday night.
Okay.
the old Randy's Barbecue on 342.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Tierney.
Good evening. All right, so I'll go over a couple of highlights from the finance report. So the finance department is going to be involved in a series of trainings for November to include some of our fraud trainings. And that'll come in the form of some fun games like a Fraud Jeopardy. So they'll get to participate in that. The utility billing will also be put through a customer service refresher. Always just good to keep those customer service skills up. Court will also participate in a training that is going to specialize in older driver safety. It will include failure to control speed, seatbelt use, distracted, and impaired driving, technology and vehicle safety features.
Talking about you,
And that the training will be for the court judges and personnel.
For older folks.
Older folks. Should have known. With more wisdom.
So from the financial analysis, a couple of highlights. The sales tax collections are still there, still up. They're increased this month by 11.88% compared to the year to date, the same period prior year. I will hope that we'll see that trend continue.
How much did appraisals increase? Do you remember?
No, I don't have that figure off the top. I can get it for you though.
Okay.
Property taxes are currently only at 21% of collections, but we also don't see those until later on in the fiscal year. Building permit revenues are at about 9% of budgeted revenues. So they're a little down compared to this time last year, but I expect to see those level out. Water sales revenues are significantly higher this month compared to this time last year. And I will attribute that to October being seasonally warmer this year than it was last year. So I don't expect that to be a continuous trend. I expect that to level out as well. As far as the revenues go, the city is typically about 4%, 7%, and 6% in the general fund, water, and the storm respectively. If you're leveling that out throughout the year, you want to see it at around 8%. So it's just a little under trend, but that will trend upwards with the property tax collections over the next 3 to 4 months. Expenses, we're sitting at about 6% across the general fund, the water fund, and the drainage utility fund. The only one that saw a significant increase in the expenses was the special revenue funds, and that was just attributed to some capital purchases.
What?
To some capital purchases related to land. So just some larger expenditures, just kind of front loaded in the beginning of the fiscal year. So we will be working on trainings, our budget book, and of course, preparation for our audit in the finance department over the next about 30 to 60 days. Any questions?
No.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and council, Amanda's actually at a training this evening, so she wanted me to give you a couple of updates on HR. Currently have 7 jobs posted. In October, we hired 2 new employees. And we have the annual employee holiday luncheon and service award event scheduled for December 20th at 11:30 a.m. over at the Municipal Center. So.
Councilman, does that allow councilman to come in there or you?
Yes, sir. That's an invitation.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll send out invitations as well.
Appreciate that very much. My memory, I need it.
We'll send you a text. You to check the email, then we'll call you to check the text.
Well, I don't have to put up with this.
Thank you, sir.
Sign up for that one too, probably.
Mr. Bedford.
Good job.
Mayor, council. The only thing I really wanted to add is for the first time in a long time, we had a vulnerability test done against our infrastructure from outside, and we passed that with 0 vulnerabilities. So we're very happy with all the work we've done to lock that down. And then we're planning on having that test either done annually or biannually from now on. And we'll pick a different company every time so we get a different test, making sure that they're, we're not missing something. So
Good idea, John.
that was the only thing I had to add. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Not much to report. We were happy to participate in Fall Festival. Thank you again to the city and Alexa's team for putting that together. We were privileged to do some face painting for free. So staff enjoyed getting to see everybody, especially all the kids, and interact with the community. We were also awarded the Ladd and Catherine Library Foundation grant. So we applied for that several months ago. We've been waiting to hear back, and we were fortunate enough to receive that award. And so that was to fund 4 AWE learning stations and some furniture to accommodate it in our space. So those early literacy stations will come in, and they're pre-downloaded kind of like desktop computers specifically for educational games. So it has early literacy, both in English and in Spanish. It has After School Edge, which is kind of for that middle school age groups, ages 6 to 12. And then it even has a new program that they just came out with called Robo Garden that's specifically designed for coding. So we'll be very fortunate and happy to have that for the community that everybody will get to participate in. And the kids don't realize that they're learning something. They just see fun games. So it's a good win-win for everybody, we feel like. So we are working on that and should have that up by the end of the year. You'll also see new development in the library pretty much every time you come here for the next couple weeks. Our walls are being installed this week for the makerspace room, and we're continuing to get the equipment and supplies that will be going in that room. So my staff and I will be working diligently to get everything prepped and ready, get training videos, get all the new policies and procedures in place to hopefully have that open and running to the public by the end of the year. Be sure to come out on this Saturday from 2 to 4, where we'll be having a Meet the Author event. Somebody you might be familiar with named Ricardo Miller, who wrote a book named Effective Living. So he'll be out sharing his wisdom and speaking with the community in the library. So be sure to come by and show your support this Saturday from 2 to 4. And then next Saturday, if you've got any teenagers sitting around the house, be sure to send them out at 2 p.m. next Saturday for a friendly game of flag football. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. You're welcome to come too if you're feeling like a teenager. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Howdy again, Mayor, Council. I'd like to start off first of all, because we had an event last week with the library, Dia de los Muertos. We had a little hot sauce competition. A couple of restaurants in town brought some tacos in and their best and finest salsa, and let the people vote on that. So we had a few people we had about 300 people show up. So it was a come and go event on a Friday night. We weren't sure. It's the first time we've tried this, but it worked out fairly well. And so we're going to see how we can make improvements on that next year and see if we can make that a annual event. We just, one time it went well, and we want to try to make sure we can, present our best effort to do another invention like that to sort of like make sure that the people get what they want out of our events. And also we're able to showcase a lot of our local restaurants. We did go to every restaurant that serves Mexican food in town, and ended up with 5 of them coming back that wanted to participate, which was more than enough for that size event. So we'd like to try to feed on that and see how we can do next year.
That's exciting. Cool.
Sports complex and netting on Field 1 is complete. I know that's taken about 18 months and over 3 budget years to get completed, but it did get final inspection last Friday. So we're rocking and rolling with that. And if you'll recall, the whole idea of that was the netting on the fence to make the field play a little bit longer than the actual field itself, because you have to hit the ball over the net to be a home run. Instead, if it hits the net and comes back in, it's still in play. So we're able to get that completed. The Red Oak Senior Citizen Center is renovations in full swing. We've got the HVAC finished, the electrical's finished. The doors are semi-finished. They had to do some design work on one of them. So that'll be installed next week. Also on Monday, they will start doing the interior and exterior work on the building, everything from holes in the wall that are there that we've created during construction, things like that. They'll come and repair and paint everything. We'll finish up with the flooring, some other cosmetic stuff, and then should be ready to reopen the first week in December.
When are they having their, Lions having their,
First week in December, the pancake breakfast.
Yeah.
That's our goal is to be right on time with that. Little pressure on us, but we think we can get it done. We've met with all the contractors that are still yet to come and do their work, and they've all said, yes, we can meet your timeline. So we'll be riding right behind them, making sure that they're able to accomplish what they've set forth.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Could you bring me up to date on the plans for Bear Creek Park?
Yes, sir. The contractor that's Freeze and Nichols doing the plan with us they're doing a lot of their background work. They've done some hydrology studies, done all their flood studies, and they've done the geological work. We met last week to go over some of the potentials on the property. So they're gonna take that, what we kind of wanted to look at, the major items, make sure that those will work and where they'll fit, and then we'll come back, have another meeting and kind of start fitting things in. And then we'll bring back the results to city management and then ultimately city council for y'all to, kind of put your eyes on it and say, hey, this is what we like, what we don't like, or, I'm hoping to wow you to the point you're like, wow, this is pretty good. Cause we've got some really stellar ideas that I'm excited to present and be able to show y'all what could be, what's possible for that park to be.
Are you getting any people involved from the city?
Not yet. So when we get further down, we'll have IDC involved, we'll have some of the parks involved.
Yes, sir.
Before it comes to council.
Yes, sir. We're going to try to work all those details out and get all the input we can get internally, and then before we present to y'all, so that way it's a more detailed plan when you see it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Right now, we have an open regular board position. With the resignation of Maria Dowding, I'd like to publicly thank her for her service. She put many, many years in with the Parks Board and really appreciate her input, her time. She was always there and just good person to work with. So we appreciate her and wish her the best. We have also 2 alternate positions. So if anybody has any folks, residents in mind that would like to be on the Parks Board, somebody you think would be good, if you would have them come in and apply through the city secretary's office, we'd love to have them come to the meeting, get to know them, and then go through the process to get them on board. And we do have one open position for Parks and Rec. We have Parks Maintenance Technician. It's a weekend and evening position. Got quite a few applicants, so we're going to go through that and process that in. Hopefully this time next month, we'll have somebody in the position. Last thing I have is on December the 13th. I wanted to kind of get this up there early. We have the Polar Express, our annual movie in the park. And this year we're going to be up at the Live Oak Multi-Use Field presenting. We'll have the movie on the field, open area, open air. Hopefully it'll be cold, kind of be a little more festive for everybody. So, but with that, I'll take any questions that anybody has about anything related to Parks and Rec.
Just a comment. I got an opportunity to jog the trail with the ambient lighting.
Yes, sir.
What is the Hickory Creek?
Yes, sir.
It looked very good. I was very impressed. I did it at night, so it was nice. So
Thank you.
good job on that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bedford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, again. So actually have some fun stuff we get to look at. We got 3D renderings from Kimley Horn for the Live Oak Street parking lot edition, and wanted to show those to y'all and get any comments that y'all had. so I can get those back to Kimley Horn and we can move on to the next phase of this project. So you should see the Live Oak parking lot renderings up now.
I think the old man got to sleep back there.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, so through here, you see that we've shifted everything down, got rid of the parallel parking there on Live Oak, making it a lot safer to drive through there, and put in an actual grass median separating the roadway to the parking lot. We have put forth every effort to maintain every single existing tree there, because they're big, beautiful trees, and this is Texas, and parking under a tree is better than parking close. So we put those there, or we left those there, added a lot of ornamental shrubs, screening, more street trees, lots of lighting for the parking lot, dedicated crosswalk coming from that parking lot into the park. Plenty of handicap spots right up close, sidewalks for there. And most of the spots are slanted head in to allow us to get narrower aisles. So that way we can save as many of those trees as possible. There's your view coming down Live Oak towards the government center. And then I did confer with Kimley Horn, and we're going to make sure that we put in not just street lighting on the new side of Live Oak for that crosswalk, but also on the park side as well. So it's ample lit, for pedestrians traveling across there.
What's that gonna run cost wise?
Right now, the estimate was sitting at, do you remember what the estimate for Live Oak was? 1.8, I think is what we're sitting at for the estimate right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Looks good though.
Do y'all have any comments, anything y'all would like to see us propose to Kimley Horn?
Looks great.
Yeah.
Well, the one comment I'll say is I hope we can get people to walk the crosswalk. My fear is they're gonna cut through some of that.
Hopefully the
nice
shrubbery and stuff will
shrubbery,
help it.
and they stamp it down. I don't know if we can have another crosswalk area put in.
Put some bear traps in there or something.
Yeah. I don't,
Fence would probably be, a little fence would probably be better solution.
So I talked to Hartman about this a little bit, and it happened at the park in Midlothian. When they made that new park off 14th Street, they put in all those sidewalks, and then people decided to make their own paths. And then what the city did was they looked for those pathways that people were making and then added additional sidewalks. So it could be that, we put this in, and if people are making their own paths, well, then that's a great place for a secondary crosswalk, and instead of trying to assume where they're going to want to cut across.
That's good.
You get them clouds.
That's right. This could be a revenue stream. Yeah, a revenue stream for the city.
very good.
Any plans on that land right there?
So we made a comment to Kimley Horn as well that we would like this designed with the thought in mind that it could expand another row of parking to the west. So with that, you would essentially see just another row come up and then slant down here. That's as far as I have. I'm sure Kyle has his eyes on what he would like to do with any additional around here. But as far as the parking lot expansion, we would look at potentially another aisle in the future.
How many spots are there?
I believe it's about 127 spots. It's slightly more than what's there now, but what is there now also includes that parallel parking on Live Oak, and they're some of them are pretty tight.
It's good.
Excellent. Yeah, it looks good. I like it.
Great. Other than that, Pierce Street Sewer Project starts the first week of December, as well as the new Assistant Director of Public Works. And we'll introduce him next month.
Thank you very much. Okay, the time is 8:59, and we will go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072.
No, we may have one small item out of executive session.
Okay. Thank you for our audience that attended.
Thanks, sir.
You know, Ben, it seems to me, I recall a grandfather telling me how hard a time he used to give him when he was the old man.
Oh, Lord, they know you fit. They all sour about it. You have fun with these damn places. Look at it. I already got one out there. My daughter texted me and said, "We get Chick-fil-A on the way home." I said, "Yes, I will. Yes, I will." Yeah, yeah. He left council to come here and get a couple of boxes to eat. That's right. He came back with mustard all over his head. Oh, man. Might give Todd the pickles on those things. I think I'll be all right. They're green. He's not gonna touch them. What are you talking about? That's what I'm talking about.
The time is 9:31, and we will reconvene back into open session. We do have one, motion, which is,
I'll make a motion, we approve an additional expenditure for feasibility studies with Westfall Engineering for the IDC. I think that's all I need to say.
Not to exceed
Not to exceed $110,000. I guess we put the dollar back in.
a motion made by Councilman Lightfoot.
Second.
By Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
Passes 5-0. Any other motions? that need to
Close.
Take place.
It's adjourned.
All right,
So moved.
Goodwin and Miller. And let's go home at 9:32.
Franklin, aye.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller,